Hello friends, welcome to OPSC OAS. I am Loknath and today we are going to discuss about elements of communications home science optional OAS Main 2020. Is it right? So what is communications? Please friends, you might have known that in my earlier classes we have already discussed what is communication. Communicate means to transmission of message or information from one person to another person, one place to another person, or one person to a group of persons or mass. So these are called communication. Communication plays an important role not only in the home science case, in the every cases in our daily life. Without communications, it is not possible by the human society to survive, because communication plays and very important role in the sustenance of this society and transmissions of culture, and we can, by that way, we can transmit, we can inform, we can communicate for our knowledge, technology, ideas, feelings, emotions. Either it may be written, either it may be oral, or either it may be gesture and postures. So there are different types of communications, as we have already discussed. There are verbal communication, written communications, formal communication, informal communications, so like that. So by that way, so but actually we are going to discuss what are the elements in communications. That means they form a channels by which or through which the informations, the ideas, knowledge, technology, thought, theories, emotions, everything is transmitted from one person to another person. When we are talking about the home science optionals, the prime focus, the prime idea, or the prime importance is that the extension educator, the extension teacher should transmit, communicate its what new discoveries, new technologies, and new demonstrations in the form of written, verbal, by conducting meetings, discussions, or it may be also by demonstrations of technologies, demonstrations of success, demonstrations of results in the form of leaflets, in the form of bulletin boards. Either it may be written, it may be unwritten, it may be verbally, it may be orally, in the form of, or it may in the form of written records like personal letters, circulars. It may be audio visuals, it may be visuals, it may be only audios. So whatever may it be, but communication should take place so that the rural people, means those are living the domestic level, the rural area, the grassroots level, whom we consider the prime importance of this extension education, because we know that extension education is informal education. Informal coming under the category of informal education means there is no classrooms, there is no scheduled time, there is no certificates that provided, there is no theoretical classes. It may be practical and then converted to theoretical concept hypothesis. Is it right? Like for but one other way, formal education we have already, it is a time bound, it is a fixed time bound, it is fixed time of period, duration is there. Okay, and what generally happens when we are going to communicate these new technology, ideas, or results from the extension education, from the extension office to the rural people, to the domestic or the family level, then it is possible to get better result and development of society, so that the people of the rural people, the farmers, the domestic workers, they can change their attitude, they can change their knowledge, they can change their skills, they can change their way of behavior, they can change their way of performance, their activities, everything, so that if these rural people will develop, then the development of community will be there, development of state will be there, development of nation will be there. So Now we are not going to discuss about that. We are generally going to discuss about what are the elements of communications. So as far as the elements of communications are concerned, we know that it starts from the sender. It starts from the sender. Who sends the message? That is called encoder. Who encodes message? Who writes the message? That is called encoder or the sender. Then it comes that means the sender or the communicator. It is also called communicator. It is called also encoder, who encodes, who communicates, who writes the message. Number one, is it right? Then comes what he writes, what he wants to confirm or inform. That is the message. Let us write. Number one, the communicator. Number two, the message. Number three, channel. Number four, receiver. Number five, what is feedback? Actually, this is a 5-step process. Broadly, you can see. But if you go on detail, and this somewhat, in sum, you can say these are the main. Number one, communicator, the message, the channel, receivers, and feedback. So this is in brief. But if you will go on detail, you might have seen GLRI, and this is not sufficient. It can be broken into many parts, so it can be extended more parts. Just like we can say, if we will discuss about the GLRI, you must have seen that in the message. After that message channel, it is okay. Then treatment and presentation. How we are treating the message, how we are presenting the message. That means we can say after this channel, next comes to treatment or presentation. Okay, this part is found in GLRI. So first is communicator, message, channel, treatment, and presentation. You can give it four treatments. Next is audience. Number 5, audience. Number 5 is your audience. Next is your audience response. Audience response. Next is your feedback. So this is the steps. Means this is the seventh step as per the. So the most important, these are the most prime necessity for the communicator. But if you go on detail, that means communicator, message, channel, treatment and presentation, audience response, then feedback. Okay. So these are called the channels. That's what is elements of communication. These insert, we can say, for writing a message or for communication process. Briefly, these 5 important steps are very, very important. But if we will go on detail, we can add this treatment, presentation, audience, and audience response in between the channel and there is this. So see, let us see. Actually, sender, as we have already known, the number 1, communicator, or it is otherwise called as sender, or it is otherwise called as encoder. who encodes the message, the communicator or sender or the encoder. So the sender is the process who initiates the communication process, who wants to communicate its audience to its audience. So first prime importance is, or the first step is what, the communicator or sender or encoder, and it wants to send message to communicate to mass of people, group of people, or a individual who is called the receiver or the decoder. This, you see, it goes to the receiver, or you can say the decoder, who decodes the message. It starts from here, and in between this it comes the feedback. And here, this is the channel, this is called channel, and in this what happened, the message is transmitted. You see, this is message. Those sender, communicator or encoder who sends the message to the target person, target individual, target group, target mass, that is called the receiver or decoder. It encodes the message, it decodes matlab translates, find the meanings, translates, or it interpretation, it interprets the message to find the meaning of the message. In between, from this to this, how the message is communicated, how the message is transmitted, and this is the channel, this is called the channel. Then what, he write the message. So this is your number 1 step, number message, this is your number 2 step, channel is number 3 step, and this is your 4 step, and feedback is your 5 step. Feedback is what is the response of the decoder, receiver, how it takes, how it sees or feels the message, whether there is a good result, how he takes, how it accepts, how he or she accepts, means it is whether it is good benefit for him or her, or it is some drawbacks there. So that again is communicated to the reverse way, that is called feedback. And in between there, we can say during this process there is a hindrance, that is called, that hindrance is called noise. Noise is also coming in this process. So when we are taking a classes, suppose I am communicating you, the people, I want to give a class, I want to give this lessons to you. So while I am teaching, while you are listening, so there is some hindrance, there may be some sounds, there may be some other things that happens during the teaching of my classes or during our classes, that is called the noise. So friends, we are going to, as I have told you, the 5 important steps: communicator, sender, or which is called encoder, then it is a receiver, a decoder, who translates or interprets the message, and it is the message, what is written, which is communicated, what is the theme of the communication, then it is transmitted by the channel. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are the 5 important steps, and this hindrance is the noise. So when you are writing the elements communication, how will you write? Just listing the steps or making a graphs or charts, it is not enough to get mark. So in order to that, we have to explain. So who is the communicator, who is the sender step, put a subheading, communicator, sender, and what is the function, what is the role, is it right? Then write some pictures, 1 or 2 points, then come to message. What is message, what is the, how the content is written, of how a good content can be written, what is the characteristic of a good message, or should have write. Then channel, what is the channel, what is the importance of this channel, how it functions, how it operates from the sender to the receiver. Then the receiver or decoder, write it how it interprets, who is the receiver, how it receives, and how it translates, then what is its feedback, you also write. Then after that you write the conclusion. So if suppose it is a long question, how will you write? Suppose it is a long question, give an account of elements of communications, let us take it to 20 mark. Give an account of the elements of communications. Give an account questions, give an account of elements of communication. Elements of communications. So how would you answer? Right? Introduction. What introduction? Communication. What is communication? Why communication is necessary? What is the important? You write the introduction in such a way that the examiner will find that the examiner is going to predict that the person, the candidate writing ahead, very good answer is going to write ahead. So let's start very intelligently. So number one step. Then introduction. Definition. You can give also definition of communication. Elements of communication. Elements of communications. Then detailed discussion. Details of each point, each part. Then 5. Conclusion or remarks or your these remarks. So this is the steps how we are going to write the introduction, conclusion. These two vital parts it plays, and in between we are going to write the definition, elements of communication, details of communications, and this is all about the questions. So this is a short lesson. So in detail I will discuss in these main classes. So this is all about today's class. Thank you.